All right, so it's good to go.
All right, here, let me get this.
You did all 5 issues of the Flashpoint?
Yeah. I got up at 6 this morning to finish the last 3.
I just downloaded it last night to read along.
Nah, I have some crazy shit. Yeah, it ended up being a little over an hour, but took me probably 9 hours. It was crazy.
To record it.
Yeah, because I just, talking by myself, I just kept messing up, and it was nonsense. But we'll start this off because me and Eric still have to finish the mail. We got all the books done. We did the first section of mail, but like Brett emails us
20 times.
Yeah, and they're long. So we have tons of mail to do, but just the mail. So we figured we'd finish the books last night and just stop last night. Now we can just, you don't have to prepare for the mail. You just read it.
Do you hear this echo that when I talk?
A little bit.
Is that on your end or my end?
I don't know. It's fine. It doesn't sound that bad.
Okay.
We'll start. Let me get here. And we're back. Back for the stretch run, and this book did not come out this week. I am here with Brandon to talk about a book that came out last week, but Brandon, we're having a lot of trouble connecting.
Yeah, I have Skype issues that have gone on for like over a month.
Yes.
I've reached out to the company to help me, and I think they're ignoring me at this point.
Yeah, the number comes in, they see B mirror, and they freaking rock paper scissors to see who's going to take that call. I'd like to think that this is part of a missed connections. Do you ever see those crazy things on Craigslist, the missed connections?
Oh God, yeah.
I haven't seen those in a while. We used to laugh at those all the time. But this is HeMan THundercats number 6. It's the finale of the series. It's the ending, or is it?
Yep. Is that the end? Question mark.
That's the worst. The end with a question mark. But let's talk about it. You go on, because again, Eric cannot be with us because here's the thing. It's the crazy thing about the connection. Eric knows how to use Skype, does not know how or can't get onto Hangouts that we're doing this on. You can't use Skype, but can use Hangouts. So both of you are shut out from each other. So it's a shame because both of you are the HeMan fans, and I'm stuck talking to you again. Yeah, because I can't even follow half the time what's going on.
You're stuck in the middle of this 2 fandoms right now.
Yeah, it sucks too. I wish that for some reason I can go back in time and become a huge Thundercats fan. Then we could have melded together and really kick some ass. But I was too busy playing sports when HeMan and the Thundercats were both popular. But go and tell us what this issue is about, Brendan.
All right. Well, we got a quick little blurb here. I didn't really have to alter it all that much because the solicit is just as crazy as anything I could come up with in my mind. So the epic series comes to the only conclusion possible: all-out war against Mumra and Skeletor, or a combined version of them called Mumator. HeMan and Lino confront the diabolical duo in the heart of the magical, mystical Castle Grayskull, but the battle royal quickly expands to the multiverse itself.
Yes, it does. Yeah, and this issue out of nowhere becomes a lot more jokey to me. It breaks the fourth wall at points. Even at one point, HeMan even references other crossovers he was involved in, it seems. I mean, it really seemed weird to end all of a sudden with just, it's crazy. This issue is crazy. And
it steps up the level of bonkers that it's been kind of really embracing anyway, but goes that next step here.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do in a finale. But it does end up having a scene that I think, even if you're not a HeMan fan, if you're just a DC fan, you'd get a chuckle with, because it does deal with them going through the multiverse. But explain what happens as it starts, because again, I'm reading this, and you even said when we were talking off air, we're going, and all of a sudden they have this orb of power that shows up and becomes a thing. Not knowing anything better, I'm like, okay, I got it. This is almost like before when they had the power of the power, that double power, which again comes into play here, not knowing what's going on. I'm just going with it. I hear the orb of power. Well, I had talked to Eric at work, And when we figured out that we wouldn't be able to have all three of us, he's just like, oh, damn it, because I wanted to ask Brandon, what the hell are they doing with this orb of power? But go on with it.
Yeah, that was the same thing I wanted to ask Eric. I'm like, did I miss that episode of the cartoon when I was 8 years old? But anyway, I mean, the issue starts off like we would expect. He-Man and Lino arrive just to the end of the shit show.
Yeah.
With Skeletor / Mumra basically controlling everything, and they're on the hunt for him. They see just bodies everywhere. He-Man stumbles upon his dad, who's able to get a few words out and kind of direct them to where they need to go.
Yep.
So they enter the depths of Castle Grayskull, and they kind of even approach area that He-Man says he's never really crossed. You know, he's never crossed this line. And this is what kind of enables the issue to get bonkers.
Oh, it gets bonkers. Really gets bonkers.
Because they cross this threshold and they see Mamator just sitting there on basically the Bane throne of skulls. You can kind of imagine with this orb of power.
Yeah, the orb of power.
That is the plot device to enable them to travel the multiverse and what they fight over throughout the issue.
Yeah.
So Mamator,
yeah,
is in possession of this, and it starts a fight between the three of them. You know, he pretty much is able to handle the two heroes because they're basically acting individually.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're acting as individuals trying to fight their own ways, and Mamator is just pretty much just swatting them away most of the time.
They're flies here, until the point where He-Man decides to pick up another one of these pillars that are just laying around everywhere in this series, and smash Mamator over the face with it.
Yeah.
Which does loosen his grasp on this orb of power, and enables He-Man and Lino to grab it, and they open a portal and start jumping through it.
Shit gets real bonkers from here on out.
Here's where the first one I actually loved, because when I turned the page and I saw He-Man basically taking Superman's spot in the multiverse, I mean that. How can you hate that?
No, and it's one page, and I'm telling you, if you are a Superman fan and even just kind of like He-Man, it's almost worth it just for that, because He-Man, and it's funny too because it's the multiverse you're going in. Like you said, before we recorded that, DC has said that the He-Man universe does exist somewhere in the multiverse, so it makes sense. But they go to this alternate Earth where it seems that He-Man's like, oh, you know what? My mom is from Earth. So I always wondered what would happen if I never left. And basically you're led to believe that he was going to become, well, it ends up not being Superman. It's He-Man, but they do a really, really good job of this, because he's at the Daily Planet. Like they don't change that. He says, this is an Eternia, and you go and you have Jimmy Olsen, you have Lois, and the best line is there's He-Man. He's like, hey, great photos, Jim, because Jimmy's handing him photos. Oh gosh, thanks, Adam. And Lois calls him Eterniaville. Smallville. It's the best line. Hey, Eterniaville, I'm not buying that mild-mannered act for a second. And it's so great. And then even Perry comes out and Gray Skull, he yells at him. And it's so funny. And the problem is, though, they end up leaving right before there's a big problem, because actually what happens is, I guess, Mamator shows up, and it looks like Superman He-Man reacts to that. Like, looks like this is a job for it. He's about to yell, He-Man, man, or something. I didn't want him to leave. I didn't want him to leave. I wanted to see more of this. I thought that was so cool. But we go off. And now, again, because I'm not a big fan or know a lot about this, I'm talking a lot in this one section, because this is about the only section that I realize what is going on, because things just go nuts. But go on.
I mean, every page you're going to get for like the next 5 or 6 is just a different version of them going in the multiverse.
And it's different versions of their own reality now. You know, it's not like you're in the DC universe anymore. You're going into a combo of both the Thundercats and He-Man universe, because they're holding this orb of power together. It's just nuts.
Well, basically, the second one is, since you probably won't understand it, it's
Yeah.
the He-Man and Thundercats world meshed together because you got Manny Arms, who is basically also Panthera.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't have known. I got the idea that that's what it was, and even when they said we shouldn't hold it together, I had no idea because I do know a lot, or at least some of the He-Man characters, but when you mix them up with the Thundercat stuff, that's where I get lost.
Yeah,
I don't
you're lost.
know any
Like
of
in the bottom left panel, it's Orko and Jaga. So
yeah, yeah. And I just say to me that's that's Orko, but you know, and I get confused, but I realize what's going on. But yeah, only because Eric sits there and talks to me about the figures. He's been ordering all these figures, so when I see them pop up, I'm like, oh, that's the one that he just ordered.
I know. I'm so pissed at my mom. She got rid of all those on me, and I could be selling them to Eric on eBay.
You would have been. He had, I forget who showed up yesterday. He was all excited. He's been ordering them like every 3 days or so. He orders another figure. He even went against his rule. His rule was you order a figure, and then when that one comes in, you order the next one. He's not.
Right.
He's starting to become Trevitt with the He-Man. Next thing you know, he's going to have 7 million show up on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
But
it's like Trevitt reads one issue of a book he likes. He's like, well, I got to get every trade ever made.
Like Trevitt has the rule: when one comes in, then you can order 1,000, and just goes with it. And like you said, he's like, you know what? I read that one issue of Captain America that I kind of like. I'm going to buy the whole series, every one. He's crazy. But yeah, this issue is crazy. It continues on where they're just jumping through.
And every time Skeletor catches up with them, they go to a different world, basically, is what's happening. Until Skeletor gets the orb back, and he wants to fuck with them. Again, it's just a back-and-forth fight until they end up back in the threshold they started in, and every character in the series fights each other one last time.
Yep. Yeah.
And then this was just a hard panel for me to interpret what's going on. Because I DCBS this order, and I don't have the hard copy in hand.
Gotcha. Yep. Same.
So the digital is just like you're going back and forth between 2 pages the whole time.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy, and it is a weird. Like I could imagine that the print copy of this would be pretty cool to go through just because of all these splash pages. But yeah, it gets a little confusing when you're reading it digitally. It kind of messes the whole deal. It doesn't. You don't get that full grasp of even the art. But the art is awesome in this. It has continued to be awesome. But yeah, go on.
So basically, we end up in this final showdown. Skeletor is about to use the Sword of Power he's got from He-Man throughout this battle. They've been going back and forth, trading weapons, trading the Orb of Power between each other. So He-Man has Skeletor's weapon at this point. Skeletor has He-Man's weapon and the Orb of Power. And combining these two will basically fuck up the world and allow Skeletor to rule it. So these two take a last-ditch effort to attack Skeletor. Each hero ends up with their own sword and combine their 2 powers, finally working together to take out Mummitor.
Yep.
And
yeah, they finally work together, and they have the power beyond power.
The line was, what does he say? He-Man says, by the power of Grayskull, Lino says, Sword of Omens.
Yep.
And they both say, we have the power beyond power.
The power beyond power, which we kind of saw earlier in there, where when He-Man had to power up, he did that. And and then everything goes kaboom. You see, Mumra, Skeletor, everybody like, oh no, we were so close. And it's an awesome looking panel.
Yeah.
And you have pretty much the ending where everybody is all happy together and they're exchanging things.
Yeah. The Orb of Power being destroyed and taken out of Skeletor's grasp has basically allowed this story to reset to its beginning point with everybody alive.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And at this point, instead of them being like, against each other, they're all friends exchanging weapons and
it reminds me
players of exchanging jerseys.
Yeah, exactly. That's the minute that I saw, and is that Panthro with Man of Arm?
Yes.
Man-at-arms. So see, I'm learning some of them, but when they're exchanging weapons, I'm like, they're like the football players exchanging jerseys after the game, which drives me nuts. I hate that. It gets me so angry.
I would have rather punched the other person in the face if I lost that guy. I don't want your.
That's what I'm saying. If you're the guy who wins, it's kind of funny. But if you lose, don't exchange jerseys.
Yeah, I don't want that.
I don't.
This is Bills fans off. It started a giant sports radio debate in Buffalo when we got murdered by, or no, we beat the Niners, I think it was. And someone exchanged jerseys with Kaepernick.
Okay.
Oh my God! All the racists in Buffalo.
Here's the thing. I understand that when you're doing this, that you can do. Don't do it on the field. Do it behind the scenes.
Right.
You know, give a little wink, wink. You know, you see the guys going up and shaking hands and talking. You don't hear what they say. Say, hey, listen, want to exchange jerseys? You know, I'll give it to the freaking, you know, what is it? The equipment dudes, manager, the boy. We'll exchange it. You know, we'll do that. I wouldn't want that to be seen. It drives me. I'm telling you, it drives me nuts. Just
me too.
A defensive player helps a guy he just tackled up. It drives me nuts. I scream at my wife gets so angry.
Like probably the same way you were when sports. Yeah. Like if I was playing against my friend, I hated my friend.
I would actually
or however long the game was.
The worst though is when after it's done, and I will just like, especially if we win, I'll be like, okay, whatever. And you go, and hockey is the big one. And you go down, you're shaking hands with people. And it's I'm like, why are they so mad at me? I don't understand. I just tried to cripple a guy and hit him over the head with a fucking stick. But to me, that's what you do. So that's normal. So I didn't make many friends, not even on my own team. When we'd practice, I'd try to hurt people. It was the best.
That's why you're better at being online friends with everybody because you can't fight them in person.
Yeah, I can't fight them, so I just move on. I just, go off the computer and bitch and moan to myself about them, and nobody's listening. Or Eric at work, I scream and yell at him. I just yell at him. When he's listening, legitimately, that I do listen to a lot of other podcasts, especially the guys in the Get Fresh crew. But when Eric's listening to a podcast that is not Jim Werner approved, and I don't know what it is, and he's laughing at, sitting there, it drives me nuts. It infuriates me.
He's not allowed to have his own individual.
No, I screamed at him. I'm like, what are you listening to? That's that whole thing about that. And we even mentioned it this episode about the adults shitting their pants, and it just drove me nuts. There's no way that 4 people that know each other in 1 week all shit their pants. That's bullshit. And I will say that till the end of my days.
To a same month. Like you and your friends should never shit your pants in the same month.
I don't know anybody that I know that has shit their pants in the last month that is an adult. Like, wow, how could 4 people? And he's just said, "Oh, it's possible." I'm telling you, this is going to be a controversy that rages on forever. But I'm telling you, if I was He-Man, if I was Prince Adam, I'd go over, slap fucking Man-at-Arms right in the face, and say, "Get back those goddamn nunchucks. Get your goddamn staff or your fucking mace back, you stupid idiot."
Yeah. I would rather have a mace than nunchucks anyway. I just hit myself with nunchucks.
Nunchucks, I hit myself. I don't know how to use those. And it's so funny that I'm just looking at this and I expect that with the end, because then they see the Thundercats blast off of the rocket. You even have the Thundercats hoe from He-Man, like a little solidarity.
They say each other's
catchphrase. And they go, and it does say the end. And I'm wondering if it'll be such a funny thing that the thing that causes it not to be the end is a riff in time or the dimensions that those goddamn nunchucks being on Eternia causes issues. And it's all freaking Man-at-Arms' fault for being a jerk.
Hey, if we get a 6-issue series where He-Man's stuck in Daily Planet life as Clark Kent, I'd love that.
All because of these nunchucks.
Yep.
Oh, I'm telling you, I would love to have we had the Multiversity book Grant Morrison did in the New 52. Let's just do this multiversity and have just issue after issue like we have this next week. Next week we have the Annuals week at DC, and it's all the DC characters going into Hanna-Barbera. I'd like to see He-Man in some craziness. That'd be funny. He-Man with the Jetsons or something, kicking ass.
Right.
But we'll see.
They missed the chance there. They got these Hanna-Barbera characters. They need to pull the He-Man back into the DC stuff since he's got a little history there. You know?
And even the deal earlier, like I said, at one point He-Man even mentions, he gets hit in the face. He's like, man, my chops are hurting from all these crossovers. It made me laugh. But overall, this is not the best issue of the series.
No.
It's crazy, but I had fun. and not even knowing all the characters, I did have fun reading it. Just the Superman, the He-Man of Superman made the day for me. I'm reading it, I just had a big smile on my face. But what did you give it?
I believe I gave it 8 on
Okay.
the roundup or the review we do for it last week. Just because based off what you said, it wasn't my favorite put together issue in the series.
Yeah.
But it was the most, just the most fun.
And the art's
the most
great.
callbacks and jokes, and the art is always top.
The art is awesome. And I say all the stuff about, not knowing the characters or things. Actually, this issue, except for the time where they go back to that alternate version of Eternia, and I don't even know what the Thundercats universe is even called.
Thundara.
Okay, Thundara and Eternia combined. I still knew what was going on, but not knowing both sets of characters kind of threw me. Other than that, you can have fun with this without knowing the characters. We've gotten past that point. This is just an all-out battle. It's mainly Lion-O and He-Man just going through the multiverse being chased by Mamator. I'm actually shocked at this point that when they did grab the orb, that they didn't combine into one just like Mamator was.
Right.
They'd have
that's totally where I thought this was going. I really did think
so
at one point.
I thought it would be the two combined, the hero and the villain both combined, and they would have a big fight. And then at the end, the orb gets destroyed and everybody separates, goes back to their own deal and whatnot. But yeah, I'd probably, the art's so good. I do like this art style, and I like it even better in this issue than I did the last issue that we talked about. So I'd probably give it a 7. I didn't even ask Eric what he'd give it. He's a negative Nancy. He'd probably give it a 5.
Yeah, I think he would be around. Probably you like a 7 or a 6,
7, 5, 6, 5, somewhere around there.
In continuity, and he would have issues with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree as well. But we're going to go off to, I believe, the last 2 books of the podcast with me and Eric. Thanks for coming on, Brandon.
No problem.
Sorry it took us a week with these misconnections.
I will take the one of the DC bros. He's like, your problem's not solved because you have fuck Skype in your profile banner. And
that's why. Yeah, that might be. You take that off, maybe it will change things. I
said I will fix that when they fix my problem. We have to agree.
Really. Well, we'll see. We'll see how Hangouts turns out. Maybe I can figure out Eric getting on Hangouts. But I'm telling you, trying to describe to Eric anything technical with it's impossible. It is impossible because I'll say
until 2017 to figure out how eBay works. So,
but with him, I would just say, go on your email. You'll see a Hangouts pop up. Email? What's that? And then we're done. We don't even get past that.
You don't give me access to the email.
He doesn't even get past the point where he'll even load something up. I'll start telling him, I don't understand. And that's it. Case closed. But yeah, thanks, Brandon. And we're going to get back to the books.
All right.
All right.